Welcome back, everyone. This is One Piece, chapter 1096, Kumachi. Which, I get it, we're at God Valley, but it is Kuma's flashback, so it's mostly gonna be about him. But I don't know, the title just seems a bit underwhelming for how absolutely insane this chapter is. Shiki is here, for goodness sake, show some damn respect! As you can see, I've evolved to 60 frames per second and 4K resolution, so you can see every little inch of my mortal form and as much resolution as my Samsung Galaxy S10 will allow. This week's cover request is Zoro getting absolutely destroyed in a game of musical chairs against these, weird-looking chihuahuas, and I can only assume he got lost on the way to the chair. This chapter begins with, the opening speech or ceremony for the, people hunting festival. And they say there are 13 super rare rabbits and 150 rare rabbits, but we don't get any indication as to what those mean or, what makes them special, I guess, the obvious choice is, they're fishmen or previously overthrown royalty or whatnot. Hell, Kuma might be considered super rare because he's a buccaneer, or at least rare. They also mention having special prizes for the winners of the people hunting games. One of which was actually stolen from Hachinosu, which we find out later. Then we cut to Navy HQ, where we see, guess who, everybody? A young Commander Kong! Though since it is 38 years ago, I'm assuming he's only Fleet Admiral here. And he's begging Garp to go to God Valley, but he's also just flat out refusing to give him the full context of the situation there. But Garp does deduce it has something to do with the Celestial Dragon's little field trip. Although I like to think Garp doesn't really know anything about the people hunting games aspect of it. Man, I feel like I can't keep saying people hunting over and over. Culling games, there we go, for my JJK fans out there.
Let him get up.
But Garp isn't the hero or the fist yet, so I don't think he would have had much personal experience with the Celestial Dragons, barring any lore we don't know about. I mean, I feel like he still wouldn't like the idea of them, but what if God Valley is when he first gets to really experience how fucked up these people are in the whole culling games scenario, and that's why he hates them so much now. Regardless, Garp has no intention of protecting God Valley until Kong mentions the fact that Roger's gonna be there. And man, I love how much Garp looks like Luffy in this panel. It's still hard to believe dragons related to these motherfuckers. But I don't know, Garp mentioned the fact that either the world government, the Cypher Pole or God's Knights, stole a treasure from Hachinosu. So I'm wondering if he's worried about Roger getting his hands on it, you know? We don't really know how well Garp and Roger are acquainted at this point, so it could be that Garp still sees Roger as some sort of pure villainous type. But then we briefly cut over to Hachinosu, where we see that Rox has jumped the gun on a bunch of other pirate crews in getting to God Valley. And they mention here and later in the chapter that this is a very big deal, which I assume must have something to do with the treasure stolen from Hachinosu. But, and as easy as it is to think it's a devil fruit, like Kaido's devil fruit or something, I don't think everyone would be so invested or terrified in one devil fruit, you know? Even though I do think Big Mom and some other people are going to God Valley for the devil fruits like we see later. Plus why would they just have an uneaten devil fruit sitting on Hachinosu? You're telling me nobody on Pirate Island would just walk up and eat that shit? Honestly, I'm completely stumped on this whole treasure thing. My best guess is that it's this egg that was on Roger's ship. I don't have any reason for thinking that. I just think it'd be kind of funny to picture, Roger and Rox clashing over a big Yoshi egg, you know? Nonetheless, moving on, we see Eva giving a glorious speech to Kuma and a bunch of the other slaves on God Valley. And we also see that the Celestial Dragons have been so kind as to give them all shirts with targets painted on their backs. Which is how much further can Oda go to make these scum even worse? Oh, I know, by giving the slaves the false hope that if they survive the 3-week culling game, that they'll be allowed to live. Which is just a bold-faced lie. I think we all know that. I hope Luffy gets to punch every single Celestial Dragon the same way he punched Charlos. Only then will I feel like justice has been served. We then see Garling tryharding the culling games on what looks like a distant cousin to Karoo, maybe? But this motherfucker's already at 100,000 points. And remember, he started with a minus 10,000 point deficit for one-tapping the king before the game started. And God, I just hate how cold Oda is making this dude. I just can't help but like him. Even if he's the worst fascist, supremacist murderer we've seen up until this point in the story. Just look at how cool he looks! I'll cosplay him eventually. Is that a bad thing? Is that like cosplaying Genghis Khan? But cutting back to all the slaves, a fishman slave is chewing off everybody's handcuffs, to which our boy Ivankov gasses him the hell up, as he would, being the ultimate hype machine in the whole story. Well, maybe behind Bello Betty, since that's like literally her power, but you get what I mean. It's also here that Ginny reveals that she's a little fucking hacker genius, and that like 2 weeks ago she sent out information about the whole God Valley situation to the outside world. Meaning this little girl, who will most certainly be dead in the next 2 chapters, is single-handedly responsible for the God Valley incident. She also tells us there are 2 devil fruits up for grabs in the Culling games. One, the mythical fish fruit model as your dragon, and 2, the paw fruit. Which, like, okay, you're telling me the world government had the Azure Dragon Fruit, one of the most powerful Zoans that we've ever seen in the whole story, and the paw fruit, which people hypothesize is what Nefertari Lily used to spread the poneglyphs throughout the world, and they didn't give either of them to a world government agent or a, like, marine admiral? I mean, maybe they were banking on one of the Gods Knights winning it in the Culling games, but I don't know, man, that just seems way too fucking brain dead in my opinion. I mean, I know it wouldn't be the first dumb decision that the world government has made, but man, it's hard to keep taking them seriously when they be playing stupid games like this, you know? It's also here that Kumo offers himself up as a decoy to get the devil fruits at the center of the island, which explains how he ends up with one of them later. And we also see a really cute panel of Ginny, I guess, love struck by Kumo in this moment, because of his kindness of putting himself in like the most dangerous, chaotic event in like the entire story we've seen so far. Just because he doesn't want to see anyone else get like hurt or killed or anything. But man, the goodest boy Kumo is getting dangerously close to being in my top 5 characters. I mean, this is my top 5 list right now for all of you that didn't ask. But man, ever since the beginning of Egghead, Kumo has been inching his way up into that top 5. Fucking look out, Oden. But we're moving on because the Rox Pirates have arrived, everybody. We see a magnificent spread of the headliners of Rox's crew, minus the man himself, of course. And check it out, it's Shiki! He's real! He's there! He's in the manga! And he's almost definitely the guy that was drinking with Crocus on that one cover page, right? Like, they look, it's like the exact same outfit. But fucking Granny Nyon is here too? I knew she had, like, developed the love sickness and traveled to the outside world, but her being on Rox's crew was not on my bingo card. I really wonder who she had love sickness for. I mean, we see her bickering with Stussy, who, by the way, is just casually riding Whitebeard. So, like, is Weevil actually Whitebeard's son? There's no fucking way, right? You're fucking with me, Yoda. You gotta stop kidding right now. And while it's easy to say Gloriosa's in love with Whitebeard as well, especially considering she does seem to have a certain respect for him with the way she talks about him at Amazon Lily. I don't know, I just think it's more fun or interesting to think that she was in love with Rox, and then Rox sort of betrayed her, and that's why she's so distrusting of people, or men specifically, I guess. But aside from that, we see a lot of other interesting cameos, like we see Streusen just barely in the bottom right corner, meaning that ugly grooming motherfucker was on God Valley. We see Captain John, who is assumedly not a captain yet, and is just John. We also see a lot of characters that very much resemble some of the general zombies from Thriller Bark. Like, this guy we see is just literally the big bearded dude in the armor that had the centaur body. We see a guy with Wolverine claws in the back, as well as a four-armed dude with a bowler cap behind Kaido. And I even think this fishman-looking dude might be one of the zombies on Thriller Bark. But then, in the very last panel of this page, we see a shaded figure, and I think we all know exactly who this is, ladies and gentlemen. Say it with me. That's right. Wang Zhi! I mean, I really don't know who else this guy would be. I don't think he's Silver Axe, because I'm pretty sure we do see Silver Axe on Thriller Bark, and he doesn't look like this dude at all. And I don't know, it really seems like Oda is building up Wang a lot more than I really initially expected. I mean, especially since he was, like, in charge of Hachinosu before Blackbeard. Assumedly, ever since Rox fell at God Valley, which would be, like, 36-ish years, right? So there's no way he's just a pushover or anything. Oda is preparing something for Wang. And yes, I know it's Wang Zhi or Ochoku, but I'm a Tekken fan, and you're not gonna kill my fun! And it's from here that shit just devolves into total chaos. The Roger Pirates make landfall, and we see them at their, like, youngest we've ever seen them, aside from, like, that one panel of Rayleigh's flashback to Roger. And Roger's even rocking the straw hat, and holy shit, he's ace! Like, legitimately, that's just ace if he didn't shave for like a week or two. But we see some of the other members of the crew. Rayleigh and Gabon are there. We see Sunbell, Millet Pine. I think that's even Spencer in the back. Shout out to all my Spencer fans. I see you. I hear you. Then Gartling starts to roll out with a couple of the God's Knights at his side, and God damn, who are you, my sweet angel of darkness? No, not the hot bitch with the black hair. I mean Saint Cowskull behind them. Is Oda just gonna make all the God's Knights ridiculously attractive? That's not fair. That's fucked up. You cannot do that. Oda, you're one sick man. And as the Marines are losing all hope because Roger and Rox are here and are just absolutely tearing shit up, who else arrives but Garp! And it's not just Garp, no. We see possibly the most important contender in the entire God Valley incident. That's right, folks, it's motherfucking Bogard! Who, might I add, looks the exact same as he does now in the story. Like, how fucking old is Bogard? It'd be funny if he's like Kobe's age here and Garp just has a history of like taking like young teenage boys and turning them into like kick-ass Marines. Man, the US military would love Garp. And now Kuma and Eva have made it to the center of the island where the devil fruits are, and Oda, what the hell are you doing? You're telling me we were this close to getting Dragon Eva? I would literally kill to see how that timeline plays out. Would the revolutionaries not just fucking win by default? But as Kuma and Eva hold the paw-shaped and blue scaly fruit respectively, Eva says he can't tell which one's which, like, Eva, buddy, I love you. I'm sure it's a stressful situation, you know, adrenaline's pumping, you're not thinking straight, but man, I just can't let that slide. And neither can Big Mom apparently, because she just runs in and clobbers Eva and grabs the fruit from his hand. But before she can grab Kuma's fruit from him, he eats it, so this is the moment that he gets his powers. That's when St. J. Garcia Saturn rears his ugly head and uses his force concussion blast on Kuma or whatever, before just starting to be racist again. He says Kuma's only choices are between slavery and death, to which Kuma gets up and just starts cooking the motherfucker. This is probably like one of the best speeches post-time skip, if I'm being honest. This shit got me so hyped, and like, Kuma is definitely showing up on A-Kid and recreating the scene, right? Like, that is totally what is being set up here. But then we just cut away from God Valley. Well, we hear Rox and Roger arguing, and we see, like, Conqueror's Hockey emanating from the island, but in terms of, like, seeing how the fuck Kuma and Eva got away from the situation they were in, or any fights unfolding whatsoever, no, we just skip past that. Week later, Sorbet Kingdom, everyone's fine. Kuma, Eva, and Ginny are now in a church at the Sorbet Kingdom, which, from what Eva says later, sounds like it used to be run by Kuma's parents. Kuma is praying about all the people he couldn't save, even though he saved over 500 people, which, you know, may not seem like a lot in terms of, like, all the people that probably died on God Valley, but that's not a small amount of people. Eva also dubs Kuma's paws the Hands of Liberation, which seems to really resonate with him, given his admiration for Nika and whatnot, and I don't know, I'm just saying, with the way things are going on Egghead right now, the Drums of Liberation may need some Hands of Liberation to play them, you know? And before shit can hit the fan, Ivankov just pieces the fuck out. He's like, I can already tell this story's gonna have a depressing ending. Though we know, of course, he links back up with Kuma later and Dragon to form the Revolutionary Army. I still can't believe we didn't see Dragon on God Valley. I really thought he'd be there. I'm really curious as to how they're gonna end up meeting. Kuma also comments that he'll never forget Eva's face, which...
So that was a fucking lie.
And the last few pages of the chapter is just Kuma and Ginny living out their peaceful, happy little home life. Ginny is 4 years older than Kuma here, so I think she's like 12 or 13, I don't know, man, I failed algebra too. But we see, I guess, the version of Kuma that Oda drew all the way back in the SBS, because he's here carrying the firewood into town to sell it. Then Kuma and Ginny sit down for dinner, to which Kuma dubs Ginny the glutton, which is like, she's definitely Bonnie's mother or clone origin at this point. I guess the jury's still out on that one. But as Kuma and Ginny cry tears of joy with each other, and such a beautiful little, touching little wrap-up that brings this chapter to an end. And I know this makes 2 reviews in a row that I've gotten this ridiculously high rating, but this chapter just has to be a 10 out of 10 for me. I was bouncing up and down like a little toddler on Christmas reading this chapter. I just loved every second of it, even the last bit on Sorbet. I really do appreciate seeing the character development between Kuma and Ginny, who is, again, assumedly Bonnie's mother. And seeing the Rocks pirates, even if it wasn't everyone, was just so cathartic, man. I mean, Shiki! And just for fun here, I'm going to run through all of the people that were on God Valley that we know of at this point. We've got Xebec, Kuma, Ivankov, Ginny, Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom, Shiki, Stussy, Gloriosa, John, Struisen, Wang Ji, this guy from Thriller Bark, Roger, Rayleigh, Gabon, Sunbell, Millet Pine, Spencer, Garp, Bogard, Garling, Hot Ass God Knight Lady, Saint Cowskull, Baby Shanks, and Saint J. Garcia Saturn. Holy fucking shit. If I missed anyone, please feel free to come to my house and kill me. And please let me know, has there ever been like a roster like this for any event in Shonen? I mean, like maybe the Great Ninja War, the 1,000-Year Blood War, but still, like, I don't know if those are as stacked in terms of lineup, at least in respects to their own series. I don't know what the fucking Rocks crew is gonna do against Squad Zero, you know? But let me know what you guys thought about the chapter down in the comments below. What do you guys think the treasure from Hachinosu could be? I still have no fucking clue, if I'm being honest. And, like, how do you think everyone escaped? I mean, assumingly Kuma's Devil Fruit is, like, the easiest answer, but, like, I don't know, the situation they were in seemed pretty dire. I'm still surprised we didn't get to see how they got away from that. Be sure to subscribe so you do not miss my next review, and be sure to check out my other reviews of other series if you're interested. And with all that being said, I hope you have a lovely day. Bye. Xebec, Kuma, Ivankov, Ginny, Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom, Shiki, Robocop, Terminator, Captain Kirk, Darth Vader, Low Pan, Superman, every single Power Ranger, Bill S. Preston and Theodore, Logan, Spock, The Rock, Doc Ock, and Hulk Hogan.
Came out of nowhere, lightning fast, and they kicked Chuck Norris in his cowboy ass. It was